This is the Nürburgring in Germany, the longest and most terrifying racetrack in the world. It twists and turns for 13 miles through the Eiffel Mountains. It's so vast that entire villages nestle in its midst. The Top Gear test track has 8 corners. The Nürburgring has 147 corners.
To understand how much the Forza Motorsport series has changed, I decided to go on a kind of a digital pilgrimage. This journey took me across 3 distinct generations of hardware. The early days, Forza Motorsport 1 through 4, were all experienced on the Xbox 360. Forza Motorsport 1 is an original Xbox game, no, but we won't talk about that. And then came Forza Motorsport 6 and 5 on the Xbox One. And finally, see the series at an absolute peak, Forza 7 and the latest 2023 reboot. Were all played on PC at roughly max settings. The plan was simple: take one legendary track, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, drive it in every single Forza Motorsport game it has ever appeared in, which is all of them. To keep things consistent, I used the same car for every lap. Another legend, the Nissan Skyline R34. My one creative goal was to give the car a different colour for each generation, each game, a unique look for each era of the Forza Motorsport franchise. As you'll see in the comparison, I fucked up. Because I rented the car, I couldn't change the colour on half the games. So, I'll start with blue. Still, if you had to be stuck with one colour on the R34, I'd choose the blue one. Don't know about you, but I'd definitely choose the blue one. It's so fucking good. Oh my god. Oh, and before we go any further, I should mention that the Nurburgring wasn't the only track I tested for this project. As you can see from some of the old menu screens, another fan favourite, the Mazda Raceway Laguna Sector, has been in the series, as well as the Nordschleife, in every single game. I did take a quick look at this across the games, and while I couldn't spot any glaring differences apart from the helicopters that appeared in Forza Motorsport 5, it can still make for an interesting video later down the line. Let me know if you want a deep dive on that. But for now, let's go back to the green hell. Since its debut, the Forza Motorsport series has carved out a distinct and influential space in the world of racing simulators. Positioned as the flagship franchise for Microsoft's Xbox consoles, as a direct retaliation to the Gran Turismo series, it has consistently balanced on the fine line between hardcore simulation and accessible gameplay. This approach has attracted a broad audience, from casual car enthusiasts to dedicated virtual racers. Each installment has served as a technological benchmark for its respective console generation, pushing the boundaries of graphical fidelity and physics simulation. A pivotal moment for the series came with Forza Motorsport 5 on the Xbox One, which introduced laser scan tracks, a technology that captured the geometric nuances of the real-world circuits with unprecedented accuracy. This commitment to realism, paired with a vast roster of cars and deep customization options, has cemented Forza's legacy as a premier celebration of the automotive culture. The franchise's journey has been one of constant evolution, not just in the technology, but in the philosophy. Early titles focused on creating an expansive sandbox for car lovers, while recent entries, including the 2023 series reboot, have shifted towards the more structured live service model, designed to be the long-term platform for virtual motorsport. Across this evolution, one constant has remained in the presence of the world's most demanding racetracks, which serve as the ultimate test for the game's physics and a digital proving ground for new players. No track embodies this challenge more than the Nürburgring Nordschleife. There are few places in the automotive world that command as much reverence and fear as the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Coined the Green Hell by legendary Formula One driver Jack and Stewart, the circuit is a formidable ribbon of asphalt winding through Germany's Fell mountains, spanning approximately 20.8 kilometers. I know, it changes in the game, we don't need to talk about that, it's weird. It features over 147 corners, at least according to Jeremy Clarkson back on Top Gear in 2008, and has a staggering 300 meters of elevation change, creating a relentless test of driver skill, vehicle dynamics. For decades, it has served as a dual purpose of both a public tour road and the undisputed global benchmark for high performance vehicle testing. For any racing simulator, including incredible and authentic Nordschleife, more than just adding another track, it is a statement of technological capability and a declaration of commitment to the highest standards of virtual racing. If you want to see how game series evolves over 2 decades, you don't always have to look at the graphics or the physics. Sometimes story is hidden in plain sight, right there in the menus. Let's start with the numbers. If you pull up the stats for the Nordschleife in Forza Motorsport 2 and 3, you'll see the number 12.9 miles. That was the benchmark established length for the Green Hill during the Xbox 360 era. But then, the Xbox One arrives, and with it, Forza Motorsport 5. This is the first time we've got a laser scanned ring, and the number changes just slightly, 12.93 miles. And that number is stuck. We see it again and again in Forza Motorsport 6 and Forza Motorsport 7. Even the latest Forza Motorsport, the official length is 20.8 kilometers. Comes out to, you guessed it, 12.9 miles. What this tells us is that the digital DNA of the track, the core data captured all the way back in 2013, has been a foundation of the decade of racing. But it's not just the numbers. Look at how the game presents the track. The menus themselves are like a time capsule, evolving from simple, functional screens of the original Xbox to the slick and modern aesthetic that arrived in Forza Motorsport 5. But the real game changer is right here, in the menu for Forza Motorsport 6. For the first time, the game explicitly gives you the option to drive the Nordschleife at night and in the rain. This wasn't just a visual gimmick, it fundamentally changed the experience. The Green Hell wasn't just green anymore. It could be dark, it could be wet, it could be mysterious. The track went from being a static challenge you can memorize to a dynamic beast that can fight back with slick surfaces and blind corners. And as the games evolved, so did the story they told about the ring. In the early days, you get a simple, clean shot of the track, but by Forza Motorsport 4, the preview image is grittier, showing off that famous graffiti-covered asphalt, hinting at its well-worn character. The descriptions in the menu tell the same story. In Forza 4, it's described as a public toll road. But jump ahead to Forza Motorsport 6, and the text is telling you about its legendary status and its use by manufacturers as a proving ground. This wasn't an accident. Developers were teaching players why this track matters transforming it from just another location on a list into a hallowed ground of motorsport that it is truly. Did you know one of the most telling and maybe most overlooked part is changes to the Nordschleife over the years to something incredibly simple? Where you start the race. It's a small detail that actually reveals a huge shift in the entire philosophy of the Forza series. If you go back and look at the older games, from the original all the way down to Forza Motorsport 6, the start finish line is based on a massive Dottenheimer Holland straight. That wasn't a random choice. It was a nod to the real world Donnerstag. I apologise for my German, I have not been practicing. The tourist drives where regular people pay a toll and take their own cars out onto the green hell, entering and exiting right on that straight. This placement was all about the experience, simulating the thrill of a public track day. It's also why Forza Motorsport 2 is the only game in the entire series to feature a rolling start here, further adding to that feeling of joining a track already in motion. But then, with Forza Motorsport 7, everything changed. The start finish line was moved off the Nordschleife itself and onto the main straight of the modern Grand Prix circuit. This is the official start on a professional motorsport events like the Nurburgring 24 hours, and it signals a fundamental change in focus. It's no longer about simulating a tourist drive, it's about simulating a sanctioned race. This decision was carried on to the 2023 reboot, frames the track as a pure competitive venue, but it's also a very real impact on gameplay, as anyone who's played it online can tell you. Starting a full grid on a cast on a straight that immediately funnels into a heavy braking zone has become a recipe for absolute chaos and first car pile-ups. This one small change, moving a line on the map, perfectly captures the series' journey from experimental sandbox for car lovers to a structured, rigorous, and sometimes brutal platform for competitive motorsport. If you really want to see how time passes in the virtual world, just look at the advertisements. They're like digital fossils. Right at the start of the lap in the early games, you can't miss the giant inflatable Coca-Cola can. It's a very quirky, vibrant landmark in Forza 1, 2, 3. By the time Forza Motorsport 4 rolls around, it's gone, vanished into the marketing history of the Nordschleife. The same story plays out in the modern GP section. For years, the main pit building at the entry was BMW territory. Then in Forza Motorsport 7, it suddenly switched to Jaguar, before becoming unbranded in the latest game. But the best example is the massive gantry and the Dottenheimer Hall Straight. Before games, it was just a metal structure. In Forza Motorsport 5, Audi moved in, and you can quite literally watch the marketing campaign evolve. From a simple red logo to Audi Ultra in Forza Motorsport 6 to Audi Sport R8 in Forza Motorsport 7, and finally the sleek black Audi Sport banner in the 2023 reboot. It's not just the ads, the world itself has been completely transformed. The early games feel sparse, almost lonely, with wide open fields. But starting with the Forza Motorsport 5, the trackside becomes dense. More trees, buildings and crowds. Green Hell has also had its foliage changed dramatically. The original Forza Motorsport had a surprising variety. More orange, autumn-based trees. And in Forza Motorsport 2 3, famously devolved into what can only be described as a low-res, dark green, bright cross spruce trees. Even Forza Motorsport 4 tried something different, with big bushy round trees, before a series settled on the more realistic pine trees we see today. And there's one corner that tells the story perfectly. In Forza 1, it's an empty patch of grass. In Forza Motorsport 2 and 3, some spectators show up. In Forza Motorsport 4, a house is suddenly under construction. And in Forza Motorsport 6 onwards, that same spot is now home to a massive, fully built log cabin overlooking the track. We've literally watched the digital real estate evolve over 15 to 20 years, and that is incredible. Of course, the most important changes are the ones you feel. The very geometry of the road has been in constant flux. Take the infamous jump at the flag plus. In the early game, it's a proper leap that can easily send a car airborne. But as the series progresses, that jump gets smaller and smaller and smoother and smoother each new game. The same goes for the Colossal. In the first three games, there's a steep, dramatic boulder that pulls you in, but in Forza Motorsport 4, feels notably less banked. And in Forza Motorsport 5, it becomes even flatter, completely changing how you attack on one of the most iconic corners on this track. These aren't just artistic choices, they reflect tension between realism and making a 13-mile monster manageable for players at home. The rules of the road have also changed. It wasn't until Forza Motorsport 7 and the 2023 reboot the official track limits were strictly enforced, a change that fundamentally altered how you attack the corners. This brings us to the graffiti and a bit of controversy. In the real world, graffiti is a living part of track's culture. When Turn 10 first laser scanned the track for Forza Motorsport 5, they meticulously recreated this from thousands of photos, but in the 2023 reboot, they associate off. The same smiley face graffiti was repeated multiple times around the circuit. This small detail was a clue to a bigger issue. The marketing for the new game promised every track was built from the ground up. Insert it here. But the community quickly proved that the corn track model, including long-standing inaccuracies like the famously flat curves at the Nürburgring Forest, was a direct copy of the one from Forza Motorsport 7. That original scan from 2013 was revolutionary, but its flaws became a kind of technical debt carried over forward more than a decade. It highlights the immense challenge of recreating a track this massive and the weight of a legacy that's quite literally baked into the digital asphalt. It's insane. It might even be massive.
Low taper fade. You know what's crazy is that low taper fade like meme is, dude, it is still massive.
Yeah.
Massive. I mean, I'm seeing like new ones that I've never seen before that have like millions of likes and views still that are popping up all over the place.
Low taper fade. So, after driving that same old Skyline across 8 different games and 3 generations of consoles, what have we learned? We've learned that the Nordschleife isn't just another track in Forza Motorsport, the mirror that reflects the series' own evolution. We see it transformed from a lonely toll road focused on the personal thrill of the drive to a structured, competitive area built for motorsport, built for Forza Motorsport. We've watched it evolve from a start raw and terrifying green hill into a vibrant, polished, and perpetual festival of speed. At the end of the day, Lord's life and the story of it in Forza, story of ambition and compromise. The groundbreaking lens scan from 2013 was a monumental achievement that gave us a decade of racing on a highly accurate foundation. but it also locked in flaws that became more apparent with time, creating a fascinating tension between legacy and progress. Whether you prefer its gritty realism of the past, spectacular presentation of the present, one thing is certain: the Nordschleife remains the ultimate benchmark. It's a track that defies the series' commitment to realism, and as Forza Motorsport continues to evolve, we'll be damn sure that its digital green hell will continue to evolve right alongside it.
I have gone through every corner and every centimetre of the Nürburgring Nordschleife track in Gran Turismo 7 and Forza Motorsport, and it is so surprising how many differences there are and how important these differences can be. So the obvious question is here, has Forza Motorsport done a better job of representing the Nordschleife in its game? I've driven this track in real life and I've done hundreds of hours here in video games over the years. And this is going to be the ultimate guide of the Nordschleife across Gran Turismo 7 and Forza. So make sure you're strapped in and let's take a look.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Next time. Maybe next time.